Hi, this is Doris again, and we just finished our Thanksgiving shoot, and now we're going to do a Christmas special for you. The theme of our Christmas special is nothing but Christmas brunch. And you know, at Christmas, people usually have brunches or family breakfast before a parade, or you know, whatever your tradition is. You can have a brunch, and that can be your small gathering. You remember our theme is small gathering for this holiday because of COVID and various other reasons, but we decided just to try to show you recipes that would fit a smaller group of people. And like I said in the Thanksgiving segment that you can expand or take these down smaller as much as you need to. They're very adaptable. They're not hard. Everyone can do these recipes. It's not hard. And of course, you can always call me and ask me a question. I'm on the Sager Creek directory, so if you want to ask me a question about it, I would love to answer your question. We're going to do 3 recipes for Christmas, and in our title, you probably noticed it's going to be using butt pans or something similar to a butt pan. And the reason I did that was because sometimes when you're doing something for a festive nature, you want to do it a little differently. The casseroles that we were going to make a Christmas casserole, an egg casserole, would be very, very pretty in a butt pan. And so this is just a plain $5 butt pan that I got at Walmart. And then also our other recipe that I'm going to do right now, I'm using my angel food cake pan, like a butt, but I needed something that had a straight bottom. I used to do this in a Jello mold, but it's been such a long time since I made it, I couldn't find my Jello mold. So we're just going to use this today. Now this would actually work in here, and so I might even be changing my mind. I might want to do it in this because I was thinking I wanted something flat, but now I'm thinking I might want something instead of this depth of middle, because we're going to put some jelly in the middle of it. I think I actually am going to change my mind, and I'm going to use this butt pan. So you see, this is a very flexible recipe. It's not something that anyone can't do. So hang in there with me. As we're getting ready for Christmas and all the traditions and all the things that we do with our families, you want to make it special, but you do not have to make it difficult. And actually, some of the verses that I was talking about on the last segment from my book called Delicious Devotions by Katie Farrell, she gave us some verses in here to kind of get us through the holidays and things that might affect our holidays. And with COVID and flu and stomach bugs and things that just normally go around, loss of loved ones, traditions might have to be put aside, and you might have to make a new tradition. Now, my family accused me of having a new tradition every year, my husband. My kids love it, I think. They do the traditions every year. And so one of the traditions that I want to start this year is while we're waiting for food to finish for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, I'm putting a craft table up in my garage for the kids, for my grandkids. I have 6 grandkids. And I'm putting a craft table up in the garage, and we're going to make placemats for everyone who's coming to the dinner. And that the kids love to do crafts. It gives them something to do while they're just waiting, to eat. And if the weather's bad, then hopefully they can be in the garage. That you can find all kinds of ideas, of course, in social media these days. But being an old teacher, of course, I'm going back to worksheets and the mats that you interweave, and that's what we're going to do for Christmas. We're going to make red and green mats so that everyone has their own personal, specially made placemat. Later on in the segment of Thanksgiving and Christmas, Megan is going to show you a tablescape that she has created for Thanksgiving and then one for Christmas, and they are beautiful. So our other thing that we're doing for today, we're doing the appetizer, and it's just a shredded cheese appetizer. And you're going to make it in a butt pan. It has basically 4 ingredients. It has mayonnaise, almonds, green onions, and cheese. And then when it sets up, and it's firm, you're going to put some either pepper jelly or strawberry jelly in the middle of your mold after you unmold it, and then you're going to serve it with crackers. So you could adapt that as you needed to. But most of the recipes, that even our traditional recipes that come down from years and years, you can adapt those as you need to. So be flexible. Don't worry about trying to adapt something. It's very easily done. But in thinking about all our traditions and the things that we eat, and worrying about things, I want to give you some peace on that. Matthew 5:6. Instead of indulging my flesh with physical cravings, today I will work up an appetite for God's word. When I choose to fill up on his word, he will satisfy me more completely than anything on this earth ever could. So take everything in moderation and use your recipes, develop them. If they're fattening, go for a flow and eat just a bite or two of it and still enjoy yourself. But remember that our main staple should be God's word. So our first dish that we're going to make is an appetizer for our, what's the name of our in Nothing But Christmas brunch. And we're going to make an ice ring cheese appetizer. So, like I said before, I've changed my mind. I'm going to use this. And I'm thinking ahead now, am I messing something up by doing that? Because Megan doesn't have a bunt pan, but I think I can show you how to make the biscuit tea ring in the other one and it'll be fine. So I just make sure that I spray that really well with my cooking spray. Excuse me. Once again, I'm going to make everything in this food processor. I love my food processor. Like I said before, I love all my gadgets, but some of them just make life so much easier. So this recipe that you're going to get online it calls for 2 pounds of cheese, but we're making it for a small gathering, so I cut it in half. So we're going to use 1 pound of sharp cheddar cheese. Then we are going to cut up, and these have been washed, we're going to cut up some green onions. Once again, I leave the rubber band on when I'm going to chop them up so that you can kind of hold them together and you don't have to waller them all over your cutting table. Hold the end, cut off the tops, making sure that most of the white stuff comes off with them, the little, whatever that is on top, film. And then just chop them as very finely as you can because you don't want to get a big bite of onion. And I chop to the rubber band. And I go to the other end and I cut off what I'm not going to use. And I chop that in. And this is, it calls for 1 whole bunch, but you remember I halved this. So I'm not going to use quite as much as I would if I used 2 pounds of cheese. So that's about half of the bunch. Put this right in. This is a very strong green onion, so you have to kind of be careful with that when you go to get green onions. You don't really know what their aroma or their strength is going to be, so be real careful with that. And then we are going to saute these in a pan. And we're going to put just a tad bit of pan in the pan, and we're going to saute them and get them a little bit crunchy. Okay, so through the magic of video, we have put the almonds in just a pan, sprayed with Pam, or cooking spray, and probably have been cooking them for about 4 or 5 minutes. And what you want to see is when you're cooking them, you want to see them start to brown. All you're trying to do is crispy them up a little bit, because if they go into something like the mayonnaise, you don't want them to be soggy. And so we're just trying to crispy them up a little bit. And I was telling Megan that in this recipe, you are going to serve this with some jelly in the middle. Or you can, and also if you wanted to, you could, you'd be real careful of these because they burn really fast. You could throw a little bit, like a teaspoon of sugar on top of this and kind of caramelize the nuts, before you add them to your mixture, and then you have a little bit of sweet kick in that cheese appetizer. So we're back over at our counter. We're going to add our almonds that we just toasted right into the mixture. They smell really browned. And then we're going to add mayonnaise, just enough to keep it all together. And so I'm going to start with about a half a cup. It can be like that Justin guy that used to cook for the Louisiana. I can't remember what the name of the show was, but I used to watch him, and we would laugh at him because he'd say, okay, I'm going to put a teaspoon on here, and he would never measure anything, and then he would just say, I'm going to prove it to you. And he'd take what he measured out and put it right into a teaspoon, and he'd be perfect every time. So I'm not going to do that, but anyway, we're going to pulse this. Mixed up really well. You don't want it to be mushy, but you want it to hold together. So I'm just going to test it. See if it kind of, you want the texture of a cheese ball, but you don't, like I said, you don't want it mushy, and that's what the beauty of this this machine does, is it kind of mixes it all up for you, gets the cheese a little bit chopped up, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see how it's just kind of mushed together now, and that's what you want it to look like. So we're going to stop there, and we're going to take our bundt pan, and we're going to just put our mix down in there. And like I said, you can do this in anything. You can, if you don't have a bundt pan and you don't want to use the thing, nothing but bundt Christmas brunch, or you just want to serve this as a cheese ball, you can wrap it up in a cheese ball and put some more slivered almonds on the outside of it. You could put it in something that would be a different, like a triangle, or whatever. But it's also a very flexible recipe that you don't have to worry about messing up. And if you don't have a food processor, once again, all you got to do is you just have to mush it, spoon it together, stir it together until it's combined. And you don't want it to be mushy, you just want it to be combined. So, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you the finished product here before we chill it. You just see I pushed it down into the bundt pan, I pammed it, and then when we unmold it, you can put some more slivered almonds on top, or sauteed almonds on top, and then we're going to put in the middle, we're going to put some jelly. But Megan is going to unmask this tonight and plate it for you so that you can have the finished product. Right now we can't unmask it or it would fall apart.